Hello everybody, today I have another video for you all. Hooray! And today I thought I could return to Combiner Wars and talk about Combiner Wars Vortex. Now this figure I actually never planned on getting. I actually didn't really plan on getting any Combiner Wars figures at all. The only other Combiner Wars figure I have is Combiner Wars Onslaught here. I never intended on collecting any more Combiner Wars characters. This character right here, Vortex, I saw him at a yard or a flea market, and I decided to pick him up. He was only like $10 or so, and he had none of his original accessories. He didn't have the hand or his other gun or whatever. These are the only two Combiner Wars figures I own. Technically, this is the only one I own because this one is not actually official. If you look closely, you can see that that is clearly not a Decepticon logo. The guy I bought this from, he told me that it was not an official one, and I also immediately knew from first glance that it was not an official Combiner Wars figure because I just saw it and knew. And it's actually not a bad figure, although if you notice his arm right here is a little loose. That's kind of just among other things, but I think all of Combiner Wars was like that officially. I mean, Onslaught over here, he's kind of he's kind of firm right now, like stiff right now because I have him posed a certain way, but he is very, very floppy. But yeah, Combiner Wars was always floppy, and this guy is really not that much different. Even though he is a knockoff, it's not that bad of a knockoff. It still feels good. So if you don't know anything about Combiner Wars, it was a series that came out around 2015, and it was basically the whole line was trying to reintroduce and bring back combiners. It was a series that some people loved, some people hated, and some people were kind of down the middle. Me personally, I was down the middle. When I first learned about it, it was already after it had happened, and I was so sad that it already happened because I used to go to toy stores a lot, and I could have very easily picked up all of them if I wanted to, especially because they're like $15, $20 a piece. It was a series I missed, and I never got any of them originally, but I did eventually get my hands on a Combiner Wars Onslaught right here, and then also this fake Combiner Wars Vortex. The problem about Combiner Wars is that it tried to be something it really wasn't. It came out back when Transformers was still kind of selling kids' toys and wasn't really adult themed. Like obviously nowadays we get figures like this. This is Legacy Soundwave, and it's it's very clearly supposed to be a figure for adults. This is really not a kid's toy. It can be a kid's toy. Kids can still play with this, but it's clearly an adult themed toy, especially with the higher price points. And something like this is clearly not for adults. This is clearly a kid's toy. If I was younger and I got this, this would have been the best thing. But seeing it as an adult, it's really not that interesting. Like all the combiners just felt so kind of forced. None of them really worked right. My personal favorite was Combiner Wars Bruticus. I think he just looked the best out of them all. And Combiner Wars Bruticus is kind of slowly growing on me, and I also cannot wait for the Age of the Primes Bruticus to eventually come out at some point, whenever it does. The main gimmick of Combiner Wars that kind of made people have mixed opinions on it was the capability of all limb characters being able to swap around, and it was called Scramble City. It was something present for the G1, and they kind of brought it back for Combiner Wars. It worked good sometimes. Some figures were pretty good, like a lot of people like the helicopter mold, but other figures, mainly Menasor, were not really that good. Like the limbs and arms, they just didn't look right. And also the hand-feet accessories that they gave all characters really did not work because it gave the combiners really big hands and really small feet, and also just made all the limbs look completely out of proportion, which is why they probably look so bad. But also another problem that Combiner Wars had is that literally every figure was the same, where the legs would collapse over to hide them, and then also the arms would fold down and the head would flip away. That's literally how every single Transformer transforms in the Combiner Wars series. And it's a design that they've kept for a long time. Like, I still see figures that are based off this design with the collapsing legs, the fold away arms, and fold away head. Like, it's the most simple, but efficient way of transforming a character. And I honestly don't hate it, but in some scenarios, it gives the Transformers very short thighs and very long shins. Like, this figure is not that bad. It's kind of weird, but I've seen a lot worse. Bringing in one of my favorite figures, this is Legacy Dragstrip, and if he looks familiar, that's because he's literally the exact same build as this guy, at least when it comes to the collapsible legs and the fold-away arms. This figure is a lot more detailed, and if you notice, it's a lot more refined. Like, there's just way more posability like going on here than this guy. And if you notice, he actually suffers kind of really badly from the collapsible short thigh problem. If you notice this guy, it's not as bad, kind of just because his thighs are just a tiny bit longer and his lower legs are kind of skinnier, so it hides that a little bit. But here with Dragstrip, he's got these kind of short, skinny thighs and then these really long, thick shins. One problem I have about this specific Combiner Wars mold, the helicopter mold, is that the rotors in the back really have nowhere to go. As you can see, I'm pretty sure this is the official transformation for it, where you just fold them back and then just have them sit here. But it creates a lot of extra kibble that doesn't really look that good. A personal way I would suggest doing it is actually folding it up like this and then folding them down along the body. And it doesn't look the best from all angles, but I feel like it just kind of helps to pull together his robot mode a little better. And now his kibble kind of sticks outward, but it just feels better than kind of hanging down. And also, he's got more range back now. So yeah, if you have a figure like this and the rotors bother you, this is how I suggest you transform it. It does kind of get more in your face, but I feel like it's a little less annoying about it. Like, it's still there, but it's not hanging off the back anymore. Now into vehicle mode, and he's technically a triple changer because he turns into both a helicopter, and an arm, and technically a leg too, so he's technically a quadruple changer, but that's not really a thing in Transformers, so I'll call him a triple changer with bonus features. If that transformation looks short, it's because it was. This guy's transformation is literally bare bones basic. Like I said earlier, you literally just fold away the legs, fold away the head, tuck the arms away, and then vehicle parts show up. It's literally that basic. Bringing in Combiner Wars Onslaught to compare, something weird that Combiner Wars did is that they were very inconsistent on how they stylized their characters. So here we have a modernized, realistic depiction of Vortex in a helicopter mode with some weirdly cartoonified parts randomly. And then we have this kind of weird adaptation of Onslaught and his military anti-aircraft truck mode that he turned into. It's less of a truck with a armored trailer and more of a tank with a weird looking turret on it with a combiner head sticking out the top. It does not really look that good, and it's probably the worst vehicle mode out of the entire Combiner Wars series. Because even though the Combiner Wars Combaticons are some of my favorite looking, they have some of the worst vehicle modes. They are simultaneously the best and worst vehicle modes. The helicopter design is probably one of the best. It's the most realistic looking helicopters we've ever gotten. But then Onslaught over here, what is this even supposed to be? Are you telling me this is supposed to be the front of a tank? Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, besides that, rotors can spin. Obviously, every helicopter must have spinning rotors. And the way they hide the arms on the sides, I kind of like. I like these big yellow missiles. It looks like you just blow up an entire city as he's driving by. It looks really cool and really fun. I like this helicopter mode a lot, and the helicopter mold in Combiner Wars in general was a very popular design because it does a good job at being an arm, and it also does a good job at vehicle mode. The robot mode is kind of okay, but it's not that bad. So now into combine mode, and like I explained earlier, all limb transformer figures in the Combiner Wars series literally transform the exact same, and it's like the bare bones easiest way of transforming. Foreign leg, And I'm not even going to do a time lapse for this. For a leg, all you do is flip down the front or back, reveal the combined port, and then for certain scenarios, you sometimes have to fold extra bits away to reveal the base of the foot. And then you just plug the foot in right there. I don't have any with me. And for an arm, you basically just half untransform it. You just uncollapse the legs, and then that's basically it. You do have to fold all these bits out again because that's where the combined port is. Now, I was going to use one of the hands from Legacy Blitzwing because these can come in as pretty good combiner hands. Although the only problem with this is that the combine peg for the thing is not only, as you can see, a little kind of damaged, but also the peg is a little too short for it to reach. It can kind of fit in a little bit like that, but it's still like very easy to pop out. So unfortunately, I cannot use these. Although one thing that I do have is this random hand from I don't even know what. The guy who sold this to me gave me this hand as like an accessory to this because he didn't have any of the original accessories that came with this figure. So he threw this one in as a bonus. And it does plug in, but unfortunately it's really loose. And can actually really only work if I plug it in at a 90-degree angle from where it's supposed to be. And yeah, I don't really know what this is from. The claws make me think some sort of whatever the Dinobot combiner was. That makes me think of that, but I really don't know. And also for some reason, if you fold up the peg, it's not visible for the leg mode. So this is really only designed to be a hand. Once we get the arm plugged in, you can see how it looks, and this is all I have of Combiner Wars Bruticus. I don't have any other combiner limbs. I technically have some knockoff ones, some more like just bootleg Chinese ones, but they're tucked far away in my storage and I don't want to dig them out for this video because it's just too much for too little. So yeah, comparing the way that this guy transforms to like something more like drag strip here where he just straight up just splits in half like this. Even though this doesn't transform like an actual combiner limb would, this just feels a lot nicer than this does and just looks way better. If I had all of the limbs, Bruticus would have been about the same size as Legacy Menasor right here. A little shorter, and it's because the combiner figures, they're always kind of just small in general, and also they were kind of flimsy. Like, just reminding you that this Legacy Menasor right here, this guy's like, he's pretty sturdy. Like, he does not come apart. That ratcheting you're hearing is literally just his arms. Like, that's not much coming apart, like literally at all. Compared to this guy, to where if you give him the same treatment, the arm comes off and his head comes undone. Yeah, that just goes to show how flimsy and just more of a toy this is intended to be for kids. And again, I do just want to remind you that this figure is almost 10 years old at this point. This is basically a 10-year-old figure compared to this figure, which I believe is only 3 years old, maybe less than that. I've had this guy for a little while, but this guy is still a modern figure, especially compared to this guy. This guy is not modern by any standards. Combiner Wars was always an interesting thing, especially for me, because it was a line that I missed, and I kind of wish I didn't miss it, but now looking back, I don't really care to pick any of them up. Like, these are literally the only two I plan to have. I kind of want to get the other ones, but they are so expensive to get. If I can find the rest of the limbs at like a flea market or like somewhere for a cheap price and easy without shipping from China and it's fake, I will probably complete him. But with Age of the Primes, Bruticus coming soon eventually, I might as well just pick him up because I love this Menasor so much, and I'd love to have a Bruticus version of this guy. And they even have the aerial bots that are coming out soon that are, it's literally just this guy but planes. And I've already pre-ordered those guys, actually. But yeah, if you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you want me to review the aerial bots, please also subscribe and stuff. And I might do a video talking about this guy again because it's been a while, and I feel like it'd be good to show him off again on my channel because this is literally my favorite figure. Like, not only is he a brick, but he's also just one of the coolest characters, in my opinion. But yeah, until next time, bye-bye.